Happy Friday. Happy Friday. I am April, your host, and this is the Revenue Governor. What we are going to talk about today is this pipeline. It was never real. It just looks full. Deals are sitting for months. Where's the movement? Where's the urgency? Where is the buyer pressure? Still, you're counting it. Why? Still, you're showing it in reviews. Still, it's rolling into your forecast. Still, you're protecting the number. Why? Well, because removing them would force the real conversation, wouldn't it? Most systems avoid that conversation for as long as possible. Let's get into it. How do dead deals survive? Well, most pipeline problems, they don't start with a lack of opportunity. They start when deals stop moving and no one removes them. A deal, it enters early. At the time, it probably sounds promising. Good first call, great first call even. Interested buyer, positive reaction. Your rep, they feel confident. You agree, so the deal gets added. Why? The first decision matters more than you anticipate, because once the deal enters without strict qualification, it usually never requires proof later. Let's work this through. So your rep, they tell you, well, the buyer seems interested. You say, okay, let's add it. Pause. Where's the confirmed pain? Who validated the stakeholder? What is the buying process? But you're adding the deal anyway. Why? Interest gets mistaken for progression. And once that happens, the system starts inflating immediately. This is literally the slow death of the deal. Then your time, it just passes, right? Nothing changes. There are no new stakeholders, no internal movement, no urgency from the buyer. But the deal stays and you're still counting it. Weak deals rarely die loudly though, don't they? They just slowly stop moving, and most organizations, they don't have systems designed to remove the stillness. Only systems designed to track the activity. And activity can look high all the time. But what's it really mean? Let's talk about the time progression layer. So week 1, you had a good conversation. Your rep, they had a great conversation even. Let's just say a great conversation. Week 3, they're still engaged. Week 5, we're waiting on internal alignment. Week 8, still feels like a real opportunity. But what has changed? The deal did not progress, did it? The language though, what did the language do? Think about it. It evolved. Let's talk about why no one removes it. Well, because removing the deal will create pressure. Your pipeline is going to shrink. Your coverage, it's going to drop. Your forecast is going to tighten even more. And then leadership is going to start asking you the really hard questions. So instead of removing the weak deals, you carry them with your team. You reward them. You defend them. You explain them even. Eventually, though, the organization is going to adapt to that. So you're a manager, you're asking what's happening with the deal. Your rep is saying they're still evaluating internally. You say, keep me posted, but what does that mean? That's all you say. There's no challenge, there's no inspection, there's no requirement for evidence. So that deal is going to survive another week, and then you're going to get to week 8, and then you're going to get to deep in the quarter. So what does still active actually mean? When most teams say it's still active, what does that mean? Think about it. No one wants to remove it yet. Well, because if enough deals get removed, the number's going to change drastically, right? And immediately. And once the number changes, the real conversations, well, those are going to start. Who wants to deal with that mid-month, end of month, right? You got numbers to hit. You got metrics to meet. That's the illusion of pipeline health. This is how inflated pipelines form, not through dramatic mistakes, through tolerated accumulation. 1 week, a deal stays. Then another. Eventually, they sound manageable. Collectively, they distort reality, literally. And eventually, your pipeline volume, it's going to start getting really confusing with pipeline quality. Most revenue organizations, they rely on pipeline coverage ratios to create confidence. 3 times coverage, 4 times coverage, sometimes even more. But those ratios only work if the pipeline is qualified, because dead pipeline doesn't convert, does it? It just inflates the appearance of safety. And once enough deals exist inside the system, Forecast math, well, that just becomes friction. Don't forget, the room already knows. This is the part that leaders rarely say to themselves or even out loud. The room that you're in, they already know that the deals are weak. They know which deals are sitting. They know which deals haven't moved in weeks. But no one wants to force this really uncomfortable conversation. Because once someone says this deal probably isn't real, everything is going to get connected and it's going to start shaking really, really loud. So there's a silent agreement. How are you feeling about this one as a manager? Your rep says we still feel good. You say still looks okay. There's a pause. Everyone knows that deal has no movement, no urgency, no proof, but the deal is going to stay anyway. So what happens as you continue to do this? Well, weeks later, the forecast is going to start slipping, crumbling. Deals are going to move out. Your pipeline is going to collapse faster than you anticipate. Leaders, they're going to be surprised by the miss. But the signal existed the entire time. And this is what we forget. The pipeline was never healthy. It was inflated. And inflation always feels stable until pressure hits it. There's a real failure point. Most leaders think forecasts fail to commit. They don't. Forecasts usually fail months and months earlier. The moment weak deals are allowed to survive without actual evidence. Think about why. Because once that weak deal stays in the pipeline long enough, eventually it's going to make its way into your actual forecast. And then what happens? The organization is now building revenue expectations around opportunities that stopped progressing weeks ago. And you know it. Let's talk through what strong pipeline actually should look like. It's supposed to feel different, smaller, tighter, uncomfortable. Because every deal must justify its position continuously, not once, continuously. Strong pipeline, it should sound operational. They added procurement, budget confirmed, decision timeline moving forward. New stakeholder entered because there are multiple stakeholders. If you're hearing they still seem interested, they like the conversation, we still have a path, I'll check in next week, you do not have valid deals, my friend. You need to check that immediately and make a connection and make a change. So let's talk through how you're going to fix it. Well, this is not a pipeline generation problem. This is a control problem. Control is what's going to fix this because what you allow to stay should require proof. What gets removed when movement stops? Think about it. What are you going to remove because there is no movement? If a deal cannot clearly demonstrate progression in any way, it should not remain in your pipeline. Not because it feels risky, but because it's no longer active. There's a simple test I want you to take. Take one pipeline deal. Ask what changed in the last 14 days. That is 2 weeks. What was discussed? What changed? If that answer is unclear, that deal is weak. If nothing changed, the deal did not move. Think about it. That deal was never real. Your pipeline, not real. It just looks full. And underneath, everyone can feel the instability. Even leadership, if they don't tell you, they're lying. They see the stale deals. They see the defensive updates. They see the lack of movement, the false confidence. The room always knows, and they know pipeline is inflated. This happens at so many companies. The system just keeps counting them anyway. If a deal cannot show movement, it should not remain in your pipeline because once a dead deal starts getting counted as an active deal in your pipeline, everything downstream, it's going to become unstable, fast. Forecast, commit, reporting, all of it. The room knows the pipeline is inflated. The system just keeps counting it anyway. Check out the Arbiter diagnostic that's going to be linked in the description if you want to make changes today. Until next time.